All right, so welcome to Code Platoon, week 1, day 1. We spent this morning primarily focused on setting up our machines for the entire course. Now, again, it's one of those things where if there's anything that you have questions on related to the setup, please let us know, because without that proper setup, we're all kind of screwed for the rest of the course. You're screwed because you can't type it. We're screwed because we're like trying to troubleshoot a bunch of stuff that you may or may not have done. So there's never a better time than today to try to get the machine set up properly. So this is the curriculum page. You might want to bookmark this one because this one is like, this has everything that you'll ever need. So you can kind of see a list of topics that we're going to be covering right over here. Once it loads up. If you're ever wondering what we're going to be doing day by day, simply click on this link and then it should be pretty up to date. Just click on India calendar, and then I believe everything is all set up for you. There are quite a few topics to cover this particular cohort. I was talking to Shruti a little bit earlier, and I was like, yep, by the end of this week, we're doing object-oriented programming, and that is evidently, 4 days evidently is faster than college to get to object-oriented programming. So if you're ever wondering what we're doing, it's right over here. Each day, we're going to have you do a daily check-in. You don't need to do it today, but if you click on this form tomorrow morning, right when you get in, it's just an easy way for us to know where you're at. So not everyone's really comfortable raising their hand where it's like, I don't get it, because then you kind of seem like that person who doesn't get it. And we'll talk more about revealing and exposing your ignorance in a later date. But really, be that person that says, I don't get it, because I guarantee you someone else also has the exact same question. But in the case that you're like, I really need to work with somebody and I'm too embarrassed to raise my hand during class, write this check-in form. It's basically, how confident are you feeling about yesterday? How are you feeling right now? How are you feeling overall? And then a little bit of feedback about your partner. If there's anything you want us to know, just put that inside of here, and then we can follow up with you separately, because I know not everyone's real big on answering questions in class. If you've already gone to YouTube, I have already posted a few videos. So the way that this one works is it's WD. So this stands for week 1, day 1, the topic of what we did, and this is video 1 of 3 for the day. So I'm trying to keep it so that it's really easy just to click on it, and if you have any questions, just go over here. It's on here on the Code Platoon site. Questions on the curriculum so far? All right, so we're here, we're in week 1. Today is May 6th, and we're gonna we've covered all this already. We've done the computer setup. Don't worry if it didn't make any sense. We have 3 challenges for today. We're gonna have 99 bottles in JavaScript, Def Grandma in JavaScript. Again, we're gonna be learning 2 languages in this class. We're gonna be doing JavaScript and Python at the same time, because the chances of you needing to learn a new language on the job is gonna be very, very high. So the sooner you just learn that it's just syntax and all the programming concepts are the same, the better off you'll be. This afternoon, we're going to cover a few things. One of them is going to be the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment. We're going to cover some Unix commands and how to run things from the command line. And we're going to talk about a little bit about VS Code and also some of these extensions here. It's not a very long day today. I know I promised a lot of work today, but today I just wanted everyone to kind of get acclimated, everyone to get settled in and get a little bit comfortable before it gets very uncomfortable around Thursday. So if you finish everything today and you're like, oh, I heard people stayed until forever, don't worry, it's coming. And I'll be done probably in about 45 minutes. All right, so let's talk about the integrated development environment. The integrated development environment is where, like it says, where you write, execute, and view your code in the browser. So when people ask you, what's your IDE? Like, Shruti, what's your IDE that you use at school? IDLE, okay. And so for Python, it's IDLE. For other stuff, it could be Sublime Text. We're going to be writing and running everything from VS Code. So VS Code is an example of a text editor. And everyone has experience with a text editor. If you've ever gone inside of Microsoft Word or Apple Pages or Google Docs, that's a text editor. It's just a place where you write text. Your text editor is going to be VS Code. That's where we're going to write the code from, write the code in. We're going to run it using iTerm. And then if we ever need to view the code that we write, it's going to be inside of Google Chrome. That's going to be our IDE. You've been used to just writing stuff inside of here, which is fine. You write like, how do I say hello inside of console.log hello. And you just run it and it magically works. So what's happening behind the scenes is on the left side here, this is your text editor. This is where you're writing all of your text. On the right side here is where you're actually executing code. This is your VS code. I mean, this is your iTerm. And then this is your VS code. Nobody really does full development online. Like, people are trying to make the push for it, and maybe in 5 years or so, everybody's just going to be writing code directly from here. There's already products like that. So I would say 95% of development of what I've seen so far is written inside the actual VS code and executed from iTerm. Okay. Let's talk quickly about the command line. All right. So there are two ways of doing things. The way that we used to do things was known as the non-developer way, and it's through a series of just clicking around things like using the GUI. The GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. So that's one way of doing it. And on the right side here, we have the developer workflow. I'm going to do kind of a stupid experiment. I'm going to have a timer here. Have a stopwatch, and I'm going to start it right now. Oh, shit. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go around the room with half the class. I'm going to create a folder with your name, and then create a file inside of there, like a text file that says your favorite ice cream. I'm going to do it for half the class, and we're going to see how painstakingly long this is going to take if we use the graphical user interface, which is the ability just to click around and drag and drop things, versus doing things from the command line. I'm going to start here. All right, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this India Platoon. Inside each one, I'm going to go around, and I'm going to have a file. I have Chad behind me, Bobby across from me, Hank, and Juan. I'm trying to go as fast as I can, but it's not really. Okay, how do I create a text file? I'll probably have to go inside of something like text edit. Open that up here. I'm going to start with Bobby. What's your favorite ice cream?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. So I've got to save it inside of here. I have to go to desktop. Actually, I have to click this whole thing. India Platoon under Bobby. I'm going to say fave ice cream.txt. All right. I'm going to do the same thing for, oh, I closed out of the text edit thing. Okay. Chad?
Mint chip.
Mint chip. We're learning a lot about everyone here today. Let's go up to India Platoon. Fave ice cream. Anybody getting annoyed yet? Should be. Hank? Oh, crap. Text edit again. Okay. Go ahead, Hank.
Cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. Fave ice cream. I have to go up one level. Go inside of Hank. Save there. One.
Vanilla.
Vanilla. Okay. Save it again. God, this is taking a long time. I want you to remember this feeling of, why is this taking so long? There should be a better way and faster way to do it. One. Kyle.
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. All right, so I've done around half the class. So what I've done is I've created a folder called India Platoon. Inside of there, I've created 5 folders. Each one of those folders has the first name of one of your classmates. Each one of those folders has ice cream inside of it. And inside of each one of those, they have a line of text inside of there. Let's see how long that took. All right, 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Did it feel like 2 minutes and 39 seconds? Felt like forever. Let's reset the timer, and we're going to learn a bunch of commands to make this a lot faster. So I'm just gonna do them. I'm just going to run all these commands and just time myself, and then you're gonna learn these commands in just a few seconds. So I'm going to give them a 5-second head start. So what was it, 2 something? 2 minutes and 39 seconds? Okay. Bring this over here, move this to the trash can. I'm inside the desktop now. I'm making a folder, move this a little bigger, called India Platoon 2, CD into India Platoon 2. I'm going to make a bunch of folders for Karen, Christina, Holly, and Nick. Okay, I'm going to create a file called fave ice cream.txt. I'm going to copy fave ice cream to Christina. I'm going to copy it over to Holly. I'm going to copy it over to Karen. I'm going to copy it over to Narayan. And I'm going to copy it over to Nick. Oh, great. I'm going to remove that one. And I'm just going to open this whole thing up inside of here. Christina, what is your strawberry? Okay. Holly. Karen.
No.
Nick.
Cookies and cream.
Okay. I am done in minute 54. And I don't have all that frustration, and it looks really cool. So if I open this up right over here, you'll see that on this inside the desktop, I have India Platoon 2 with the other half of the class inside of there. Each one of them has a text thing inside of there and with a lion. So it's just a lot. There's 2 ways to do it. Like not one of them is right and not one of them is wrong. But as a developer, you're going to do most of your stuff using the command line. We're going to teach you how to use that right over here. Who has experience using the command line already? Ish? Very, very low. Okay, long time ago.
Computer, you need to.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so we talked about this. There's the non-developer workflow and the developer workflow. Neither of them are right or wrong, but you're going to spend most of your time inside of here. So if you ever find yourself double-clicking or like right-clicking and creating a new folder, or like dragging one file from one place to another, try to practice using the developer workflow rather than the non-developer workflow. So there's a lot of things that you can do from the command line. You've already started by like doing brew install a bunch of stuff, but these are some of the most popular things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be adding folders, removing them, listing out the contents of a folder, adding and removing files, moving to another folder, and we're just going to practice that. You don't need to keep track of this because all of this is inside of your curriculum, but these are a bunch of commands that I need you to memorize within the next 30 seconds. So there's one called mkdir. It stands for make directory. So if I ever wanted to create a folder from scratch, I just do mkdir space the name of the folder, and that's it. If I want to create a file, I just do touch and then the name of the file, enter, and then you create that file. If you want to remove a directory, it's rmdir if it's an empty directory, or it's rm space -rf and then the name of the folder to delete the entire folder. rm to remove a file, ls to list everything, and cd to change what directory you're in. So let's try this real quick. You can either follow along or just watch and then try this again later. But this is just, we're just interacting with our computer in a different way. This particular black box does not hack the world. You can't launch nuclear codes from it from your computer. Like you can't hack into Bank of America. Like, and you can't delete your entire computer either. You have to be very, very, either really, really good or really, really bad in order to delete everything. This is simply another way to interact with your computer that's not clicking around. So you'll notice that I don't ever really use my mouse. So I'm here right now. I want to change from where I am into the desktop. How do I change directory? CD, change directory, and I want to change over to the desktop. So I'm going to do capital D and press tab. If there's a folder or a file that matches up with what I'm about to type, and I press tab, it's just going to autocomplete for me. So I could just do CD into the desktop, How do I list everything inside the desktop? LS. So you can see these are all the things that are on my computer. So I have AWS reimbursements that you'll get later. The curriculum, I moved some stuff around the curriculum. There's that India Platoon that we had a little bit earlier. Now I want to change from where I am right now. I'm inside desktop and I want to change to go inside of India Platoon 2. How do I do that? CD India Platoon 2. And now what you'll notice, I'm going to give you all of these short, so that you have like the colors and stuff pretty soon. What you'll notice is from the root, we went inside of a folder called desktop. From desktop, we entered into a folder called India Platoon 2. Now, how do I list out all the contents again? LS. Those are the folders that we created a little bit earlier. I want to go inside of the Nick folder. So I'm going to CD into Nick. I want to list out everything. And I want to create something that's like the least favorite ice cream. All right, so I do touch and then the name of the file, least fav ice cream.txt. And if I list out everything again, you'll notice that before there was only one file. When I created one using touch and I listed out it again, there it is. And if I really wanted to see it, because I don't believe it, there's favorite ice cream and least favorite ice cream under Nick's name. Let's go back. Actually, I don't want the least favorite. I want it to be positive all the time. How do I remove a file? RM and then what? Least. And I'm just going to do LE, press tab, and it goes away. List out everything again, and you'll notice that that goes away. This is very small. Make it bigger. All right. I'm not predicting anything here, but let's say I want to remove Nick's folder completely. How do I remove a folder? I heard RMDIR, and I have this one as well. So let's try both, because I'm not sure which one works. If I do rmdir and I type in Nick here, it blows up. rmdir only works if your directory is empty. So if there's stuff inside of it, they say you have to delete that stuff first, or you have to run this rm space -rf Nick. So rm space -rf, this stands for recursively force, I think. So basically what that means is I'm going to delete everything until there's nothing left to delete, and then I'm going to delete the folder. So if I do this, you'll see when I list out all the names again, we still have Christina, Holly, Karen, and Narayan, but I don't have Nick anymore because I've removed Nick's folder. Any questions so far? How do I go up one level? So I know how to change into directories, but how do I change up one directory? CD space ... Cool. Let's go inside of Narayan. So I'm going to CD. I want to chain this all into one line. So how do I chain it from the desktop to get into Narayan's folder? Again, I'm going to list out everything for you and just pause here.
CD,
Mm-hmm.
/Narayan.
Yep. So if I do CD India Platoon 2, and I just did IN, I press tab, and then it fills it out for me. And I type in Narayan. There I am. I'm inside of Narayan's folder at this point. All right. How do I go out 2 levels back out to the desktop? CD ... Nope. It went.
Then you do it again.
I could do it again, but I want to do it all in one go. So let's go back into Narayan. So I did 2 commands here, CD ... and then CD ... again. How do I combine those 2 lines into one thing? What's that? The pikes? Christian? No. All right, so we're going to be using a /. I'm going to do CD ... and I thought it would be like this. That makes a lot of sense, but it's actually ... Yeah, just like that, we moved up 2 levels. We went from the Narayan folder back up to desktop. Now, the difference between / and / people get wrong all the time. So think of a person that's standing straight up like this. You got your lines going straight up. If the person leans forward like this, that's a /. And if the person leans backwards from standing up, that's a /. All right. let's do a quick exercise. Your turn. I'm going to pause right here with recording. All right, so we had enough time to hopefully go through this. I understand some people still have issues with their machine, and again, day one, it's fully expected. So let's do this one together. So it says, make a folder on the desktop called command line exercise.
So you made a file, such as a file.
So let's say that I'm going to start all over. Make this much larger. All right, how do I change from here to the desktop and create a folder called command line exercise? First of all, I need to get to the desktop. Someone just call it out. CD desktop, capital D, press tab a bunch of times. Ooh, when I press tab a bunch of times, there are 3 things that start with a capital D. So those 3 things all show up here. So if I just do DE and press tab, because nothing else starts with DE, I get desktop over here. How do I create a folder called command line exercise? mkdir, make directory. So command line exercise. Now inside of that folder, make a folder called exercise 1. Thoughts? Inside that folder, create a folder. Inside that folder, yeah. Inside that folder, I'm going to make a directory called exercise 1. Sure. Exercise 1, and I want to go back out one directory and create another folder called exercise 2. How do I go up one folder? Yep. And then I want to make another, oh crap, that's a typo, whatever. I'm just going to follow it. So it says cd out one level and then make a directory called exercise 2. Change into that directory, change back out, delete the exercise 2 folder. So how do I go inside of a directory? cd, change from where I am into this target. All right, so I'm inside exercise 2. It says go back out. I want to remove this folder. Yep. And if I list out everything, you'll see that exercise 2 is gone. I don't want these screenshots anymore. I took them for you guys to put them inside of Slack. I want to remove both of them at the same time. Okay, so I'm just going to do capital S because it doesn't look like anything else starts with a capital S. But I mean, so it doesn't finish because it's all the same up until the 5. There's a 5.0 and a 5.1. I want to delete both of them at one time without running 2 commands.
Then you just space, right?
Nope. I don't think that works.
When you do 150 and then you type in the next.
I could do that. So I could do 2 things. I could do RM and then actually just finish out and go like that, or I can do RM with the name with the star at the end. Because you see that they have, these are both screenshots and they both start with the same thing. If I do RM with the name screenshot and 15 star, it deletes both of them. If I list out, you'll notice that both of those were deleted in one line, which is pretty cool. The star is a wild card, so if it matches anything, if it matches anything, it'll fill in its place right there. All right, let's see here. I removed my exercise number 2. I want to go inside of, let's go inside of exercise 1. So we've practiced this already. How do I change directory again? cd, exercise, oh crap. Where is it? Did I remove it? Oh, it's under command line exercise. cd, command line exercise, list everything, go inside of exercise 1. Let's go up 2 levels. How do I go up 2 levels? There you go. cd .. And I want to kill this command line exercise completely. How do I delete folders? Dash RF and then the name. And you'll notice that if I do list everything out, command line exercise is dead. So this This type of stuff you're going to be doing very often. This is not actually a programming language. It's technically called Unix, but it's not really a programming language. It's simply the tools that you need to navigate your computer without using GUI. GUI's graphical user interface. You could write this on your resume, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you're applying to be I don't have a good analogy. I usually have good analogies, but I don't have one today for this one. You just need to have this in order to move forward.
You know, might have like a software or system reliability engineer position coming up.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's just expected. Like
Yeah,
you navigate
that is
Unix.
exactly.
Just, yeah.
All right. So for the purposes of today, go ahead and keep your computers open. Tomorrow we're going to start doing that thing where I'm going to ask you to close it. So we're going to create our bash profile. We talked about this a little bit during the setup for this morning, but essentially it's like, you imagine a frequent flyer who travels to the same hotel chain over and over again. We've all seen Up in the Air. Have people seen the movie Up in the Air with George Clooney? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just going to bring it up real quick.
I was thinking, let me guess. Start a claim right from your app. People looking in my notes. Last year I flew 350,000 miles. All the things you probably hate about traveling are warm reminders that I am home.
Welcome back, Mr. Bingham.
So that's the only thing, that's what I remember. So it's basically like when a frequent flyer shows up somewhere, the airline already knows what their name is, what their seat preference is, all of their historical records, and if you want to be greeted in a particular way, they also keep track of that as well. The way that you're going to set up your bash profile is somewhat similar. Whenever I want to open up my bash profile, I want it to look something like this. So this is just what I decided to use. I like these colors in this particular order. I like being able to see exactly which folders are open at the particular moment. And if you want to go online and kind of look around to see how you can modify your bash profile, I know that I saw Christina's one was already modified. I saw Henry's one was already modified. You can keep those if you'd like, or you can copy mine. So open up your curriculum, go to today's stuff, and get down to this middle of the page right over here where it says parse git branch. Oh crap, I think that's a typo. Is that a 2?
Yes.
Hold on a second. Well, for now, unless this is a typo, which I'll let you know, open up code bash profile to open up that bash profile that we created this morning. What we're going to do then is we're going to highlight this whole thing and paste it inside the VS Code window that's open. Save it and then close it and then pause for a quick second. Maybe it is parse git branch 2. All right, so you have gone to your terminal. You've run code ~/.bash profile. And that has opened up a window that looks something like this. Now I've got a bunch of extra stuff inside of here, but you don't need to copy all of this. You'll add things and remove things as you see fit. Essentially what I have here is a bunch of settings. So in the case that I'm typing something over and over again that I don't want to type, or if I want certain colors, or if I want certain like pictures or something, it's all going to be right over here. I have a bunch of aliases, which I recommend that you do not copy, because the aliases that I write are only specific to me. I like using them like this, but you may not like using that. So I have an alias for D. The moment I just type in the letter D and press enter, it actually runs this entire command called change to the desktop. And because I'm changing to the desktop so often, I could just type in D, and it automatically CDs me into the desktop. So you can add those types of settings if you'd like. I know a bunch of you had an issue with this thing this morning, which was like, are you sure you're running a server on port 5432? Since I get that error so often, I just threw it as restart, and I set it equal to that entire command that I passed in. But what you're going to do is that you might have a bash profile that's pretty empty or has something inside of it. You're just going to copy this, paste it in. Don't overwrite anything that's in there, but just paste it inside of here. After you save it, you're going to close down your window, and what you're going to run is source bash profile. When you source the bash profile, you'll start to see these colors show up if you've copied it over correctly. So I'm going to give about 2 minutes to see how people are doing there. Yeah, there you are. It worked. You don't have to use my settings because I knew you had some. But
No, he's iOS.
okay. All right, another minute or so, but everyone should get to the point where it says whatever your login name is at whatever domain your computer's at, and have these colors. Source.bash profile. Let me make this bigger for everybody. Don't worry, Holly, we'll fix yours a little later. Okay. All right, so we talked a little bit about the command line. I'm just gonna you just need to keep drilling it. Don't right click, don't drag stuff back and forth. Always just use the command line as much as possible. We talked about that. We talked about all these commands here. Now let's talk quickly about VS Code. So I want everyone to go make sure that you have VS Code dragged into your dock down over here. The way that I do that, I go inside of Applications, I grab VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and drag it and drop it down here. And from there, you can open it up like this. Now, VS Code takes a little bit of time to get used to. It is definitely the industry standard at this point. It is the most popular, I would argue it is probably the most popular text editor that people are using professionally in web development. It's like Microsoft's, I don't know, a few years ago Microsoft was a joke, and now Microsoft runs everything, interestingly enough. So it is a Microsoft product. This code editor is literally just a place to write code. You write code here, you execute it inside of iTerm. Oh, that's kind of annoying. I don't want to go back and forth between two windows. So I want to see, is there a way that I can open the terminal from here so that I don't have to open 3 things in order to run stuff? Oh, there's a terminal up here and new terminal. And you'll see right at the bottom, it is located there. All the same settings as before so that you can write the code at the very top here, and then you can execute it right here at the bottom. All the settings are still the same, so I still have D as desktop, and I'm here right now. All right, so what I want you to do is under Code, Preferences, and Settings, I want you to highlight this whole thing and paste it in there. So again, Code, Preferences, Settings, and then if you go to, oh no, where is it? Okay, if you click on this right up top here, these open settings as JSON, I just want you to copy and paste this inside of here. You can change the font size if you want to, but keep pretty much everything else the same. You can change the color theme as well. You don't have to use the white one. I prefer the dark one, but the white one shows up better up here. If I change the colors, it looks like this, which it's a little bit more, maybe it's not as difficult to read as people think. I think it's a little easier to read the white one. So again, go ahead and do that. Once you're finished, press save, quit out of here, and we should be good to get started. Sure, I went to code, preferences, settings, and then I clicked this curly braces up here on the top right. Click on this, and then just copy paste all of this stuff inside of here. Now, these are all settings that I've set for you ahead of time so that I don't have a lot of issues. So I have autosave on because the number of times that people have said, I changed this and it's not working, and I said, did you press save? I mean, I'd be a rich man if I could collect money for that. So what I have here on line number 3 is autosave. So the moment that you, like, let's say I edit something here, and I just click out of it, once the focus is lost on that particular window, it automatically saves. So that's one thing. The font size, I have it as 15 because it's easier for you all to see, but if you want it, you can make it like 9, and then it becomes really small. I don't know if you can read that though, so I'm gonna bring it back to 15. I want all the tab sizes to be 2. I want word wrap to be on, and yeah, I think that's good. That's about it. So let's take a look at VS Code and get a little bit familiar with it before I release you for today. I'm going to, let's make a directory real quick called CP Day 1 Examples. We're going to CD into CP Day 1 Examples. And I want to open this particular folder inside of this open window right here. So I'm going to do code, remember we set it up a little bit earlier, -R space dot. So I'm opening up in this particular window everything that's inside of this folder. Now if I click inside of here, obviously CP Day 1 Examples, there's nothing inside of there. So I have two options. I could either be lazy and touch and be like hello.javascript, or I could go touch hello2.javascript. Both of them are fine. I would recommend just doing this until you're very, very comfortable. So this top one right over here is kind of like your explorer, like your finder. So if I click it, it'll go away. If I click it again, it says this is the current folder that's open. Maybe there's another folder inside of there, folder 1. I could also create a folder called folder 2, and it'll show up over here. So it's kind of like a directory of where you are. This is for search and replace. This one you can ignore, this one you can ignore, and then I want you all to click on this 4th one right over here. So VS Code is extraordinarily popular for one reason, and that's because it has a ton of extensions that you can install to make your life a lot easier. These are the ones I'd like you to install today. So I'd like you to install these particular, these 7 extensions. They're packages that other people wrote so that VS Code can make your life a lot easier and a lot nicer. So I'm going to pause the recording here, and we're just going to install these ones. Oftentimes, when you, like if I just choose this first one, I press enter. The one at the very top with the most downloads, so you can kind of see Sublime Text Key Map and Settings Importer, has been downloaded 1.1 million times. Go ahead and install, and then you're going to have to probably reload all of VS Code in order for the things to take effect. So again, I'll give you about 5 minutes to finish installing all of these. We'll talk about how to use this, and then we'll get started on today's work. All right. The last bit before we get started on today's classwork is all about shortcuts. Now, you can, writing code is fine. You're going to do a lot of that here, but the real power comes from doing a lot of shortcuts. So there is a whole bunch of shortcuts located right here and here. Since we installed Sublime shortcuts, all of these are available to you. So if you want to cut and paste an entire line, all you got to do is put your cursor on that line and press Command X. If you want to insert a line after where you are right now, you do Command and then Enter, and then so on and so forth. There's a lot of them, and you're most likely going to, you just start using 1 or 2, and then whenever you feel like, man, this kind of sucks, if you look inside of here, there's probably a shortcut to make your life a little easier. Now, over the next few days, Josh and I are probably going to start flying through some shortcuts that we're so used to using, and if you're like, oh, that's pretty cool, just stop us and say, how did you do that? And we're happy to teach it to you. All right, let's create, let's write something really easy. So let's just create a program that says hello. How do I do that? Console.log hello. There you go. All right. So before, when we were doing this on REPL, we wrote it and then we pressed the run button and then it just ran. Right now, we wrote it inside of here and now we want to run it from here. So if I list out everything, there's the hello.js. I want to run it from this particular command line. Does anyone know how to do that off the top of their head?
No.
We could. Node and then hello.js. So node is the JavaScript command to run something run a JavaScript file. So when I run that, it just says hello. The same thing. It's a little less nice to use, but most people do all of their code from here. So we got that. Let's create a quick function that says hello to every single person in the room. So I want to create an array of all the names here, and I want to create a function that says hello to all of them.
Let names.
Let names.
Equal open bracket.
Yep.
And string format everyone's name.
Okay. Getting good with these names here. Miss anyone? My bad. All right. How do I print out the number of names there are? Names.length. Let's just see if this works. I'm going to do node hello2.js. There are 11 people. Fantastic. Okay. Now I want to create a function that iterates over these names and says hello to each one of them. Someone that's not spoken yet. Yeah, Bobby.
Write a for loop.
Okay.
And for each item in the array, console log.
Okay. The good part about VS Code, once you start typing in some stuff, the IntelliSense kicks in. So I know if I'm doing a for each, all I got to do is press tab when that shows up, and I got a for each element. So it's not going to be an array, it's going to be names for each name, and then what?
Console log, hello, and then.
Yep. Let's see if this works. Hello to everybody here. Okay, so there is a for each loop. We're going to cover JavaScript fundamentals tomorrow. But this is how this works. I write the code inside the text editor here. It gives me all the nice colors and everything. You installed everything a little bit earlier, so they have these nice colors, and that you know that this this pink bracket closes off this pink bracket, this blue bracket closes off this blue bracket, and that's what the colorizer gave you. I'd like for each. Let's do a regular for loop. Let's get somebody else. Tell me what to type for a regular for loop.
So for in parentheses, I equals 0. I less than names.length.
Now what I could do is I could type it all out. I could highlight this entire line, or using one of the shortcuts, click in here, Command C, Command D. Copy the entire line all in one go. Saves a lot of time. Same thing as before, I'm just going to comment this out. I can highlight it, and then to comment, I could either go like that for each one, or I could highlight the portion that I want to comment, Command, and then // comment out everything all in one time. Pardon? Good catch. All right, I want to delete this whole thing. I want to move this. I want to move this entire block above line 1. I can either cut and then paste like this, or I can highlight the whole thing, Command, Control, and move it up like that. Move the entire block. So these are some of those those things that you need in order to just to become a little bit faster. Otherwise, you're going to be highlighting and copying and pasting a lot. All right, folks, we have had a pretty fun first day. It's going to continue on. You're going to work by yourself today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about pair programming. But you have 2 challenges and then 1 thing to read. The first one is going to be 99 bottles in JavaScript. The next second one is going to be deaf grandma in JavaScript. Do the first one, do this first, and then do this one second. Otherwise, if you do this one first, you'll be very upset with everything. So 99 bottles, pretty simple. You want to write a program that types in the 99 bottle song. If you hard code it, meaning if you type in literally every single line and press console log, you do not get credit. So what you want to do is you want this to be like as robust as possible. Sure, it's 99 bottles, but what if somebody wanted 102 bottles? Like, how do we keep track of that? So write a program that does all of this. And then once you get down to number 2 and number 1, that's where the words get a little bit more challenging because the noun doesn't become plural anymore, it becomes singular. So 1 bottle of beer on the wall instead of 2 bottles of beer on the wall. So you have to keep track of that as well. Yeah, please do not hard code. Hard code meaning I'm just going to force the code to do what I want. I did see that on a few of your applications, and that's okay, but we want to use loops over here. If you don't know how to do that, Google it. And then second, we have deaf grandma. This one is an equalizer for a lot of people. I don't think, did anyone in your class finish?
I know I did, I think Soros did.
Okay, so
There was a lot of anger.
Yeah, there's a lot of anger with this one. This one is intentionally vague and intentionally difficult. One thing to keep track of is please click on all of these things before you get started. So you're essentially going to create a program that has these rules. 1, if I don't input anything, she responds with what? If you ask a question with lowercase letters, she responds with this. If you reply to her in all uppercase letters, she'll respond with that. The first time you say goodbye, she'll say leaving so soon. The second time you say goodbye, she says later skater, and the program exits. This one is pretty difficult. Please click on these links down here and don't try to do it without it. That's all I had. Good luck. And now at this point, Gina and Shruti are in charge. So if you have any questions, remember, ask your computer, ask your friends, and then ask them before asking me.